What's up, people? How you doing? It's me, Amin again. So yeah, I haven't done a video in a while. Let's do a quick BTC update, and I'll show you guys what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. So as we can see, over the last week or so, we hit the all-time high at 7,800, and from there we had the kind of the SegWit 2x news. That it wasn't happening. Obviously, a lot of people that bought into Bitcoin at that time because of SegWit 2x, thinking that they're going to get the free coins, they had possibly sold off a lot of their coins there, and it obviously started a big sell-off. And at the same time, the whole Bitcoin Cash thing was going on as well. They were having some updates, and we had Roger Ver kind of really pushing Bitcoin Cash. We had a few other things going on there, and a lot of the momentum went into Bitcoin Cash. And in fact, I think a lot of people actually sold off their Bitcoin at the bottom here. Unfortunately, even on my Facebook, I saw a lot of people saying, you know, they're going to sell their Bitcoin for Bitcoin Cash. And that was when Bitcoin was down here at the bottom of this little sell-off here. And I'll show you where Bitcoin Cash was. Bitcoin Cash was up here at that point. So, you know, those people that did that, it's I wouldn't say it's unfortunate, but it's a bit silly, to be honest with you. But anyway, so what am I seeing with Bitcoin? I'm not going to go over the whole chart because let's just see what's happening here and now. I'm going to try and make this video within 10 minutes if I can. So as I said, we had this top, the very top here was 78.70. This is on the Bittrex chart, as you can see here. It's the Bittrex tether chart, right? So I'm actually going to count the top. Okay, although the wick has gone to 78.84, 78.50 or so. I'm going to count the top as here. Okay, at the top of these close prices here. Okay, so for me, this is the actual main resistance zone right here. Yeah, and if I check the 4-hour chart, it should correlate. Okay, so yeah, so that's the top for now. Now, where are we? What's happening? When we have had this big sell-off here, you know, there's a couple of things. I mean, we could have looked at this as a correction, you know, as a correction before the next move up. We could look at this as the start of the big ABC correction. Okay, so the big market correction down. But either way, there was a chance to make the bounce trade here, because even if you think, you know, Bitcoin is going to come down over the next month or so, whatever the case, we knew that Bitcoin was going to bounce here, right? From a technical standpoint, there's a couple of things saying that Bitcoin is going to bounce here. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out, guys, is if we look at the key support and resistance zones. Now, what I do for when there's a big sell-off like that, and when there's a big amount of momentum coming down, what I like to do is look at the higher time frames and see where the key support and resistance zones are on the higher time frames. So for example, if we take a look at the 1 month chart, obviously there's not enough data there on the 1 month chart, but if we were looking at the 1 month chart, this is a key zone right here. Okay, so the 47.50 zone here. If you look at the 1 week chart, okay, I would say, okay, this is a key zone here, right? This is a key zone here. Okay, but what I did for this was, when you look at the 3-day chart here, basically what I saw here was in this zone right here at the top of this candle and at the bottom of these candles, 1, 2, 3, 4. It was a very nice support zone right here, and I kind of knew that this is where, you know, we should find some support. Okay, so it was just a theory at that point that, okay, right here I could be looking for some support. If it breaks down past here, then, you know, I could be looking at this zone right here. Right here is the 47.50 zone right here. Okay, so I was thinking buy here, if not buy here. Okay, so that being said, then what we got to do is kind of look into other factors and see, okay, what other factors are telling me this is a buy zone. So if we take a look at the 1 day cloud, you know, when we were selling off down here, the 1 day cloud is down here. It's more kind of correlating with this this previous support zone at 47.50 that I mentioned before. Okay, but if we look at the 12-hour cloud here, we can see that it basically, although in the past it came down below the 12-hour cloud, which if it came down to the 1 day cloud, it would have gone through the 12-hour cloud here. But you know, if we took the 12-hour cloud and took this support line here from the 3-day chart, we could see there was a direct correlation here, a bit of confluence between the 12-hour cloud and the 12-hour cloud and the 3-day support zone. Okay, so there's two things there for me saying, okay, this is a good space to buy. Another thing for me was when I was looking at this RSI, not the stochastic RSI, but the RSI. For me, it was telling me it was getting very oversold. I mean, the 6 hour was oversold here. Okay, but I was really looking more at the 12-hour chart and waiting for the 12-hour to become oversold, because as you can see here, when the 12-hour gets oversold on Bitcoin, we have a nice bounce and a nice rally up from there, right? We've had it once there, twice there, and now 3 times here. Okay, so that was kind of what I was looking for there, and at that point here, the 12-hour was starting to get really oversold. So now there's 3 things telling me, okay, around here is a zone where, you know, I'm looking to buy. So lastly, I thought, okay, let me have a look at what Fibonacci is saying. Okay, so so if we measure the fib from the bottom, swing bottom to swing high, we can pretty much see, I like to take the base of these candles here, that there is that zone here, the 12-hour cloud, the 3-day support line here is basically correlating with the 50% range, right? So the 50% fib level. So now I've got 3 or 4 things telling me, okay, this is a zone to buy. So that's where I pretty much place my orders all along down here. Okay, so got filled, and now I'm just waiting for the bounce. Now the bounce came, but there's a couple of things here. If we have a bounce and come up and then sell all the way back down, that's dangerous also. So, you know, if you did buy here, then the ideal thing would be was to keep a stop loss. Keep a stop loss there, because you don't know, you know, if you're not selling on the bounce, if you're not taking quick profits, you're waiting for a high move up, then it could pretty much come back down, and you know, you could be underwater, you could be in a negative position, right? So basically, given that bounce, what we had here is from this top zone here, we had a nice downtrend. If we go to the 30-day 30-minute chart, I'm gonna draw my I'm gonna draw my lines from here. Okay, sorry guys, I don't know why that's taking me so long. Okay, cool. So from the top here at 7,800, we've basically been selling down, bouncing up, hitting the resistance here, selling down, bouncing back up, selling down, selling all the way down back to the buy zone here, and now we're looking for the bounce play. So the bounce we got from here was a bounce of 19%, right? So that in itself, or 19%. So that in itself was a pretty good bounce, right? But then we know we're gonna either bounce off this downward trend line and bounce back down. We've got two choices now when we bounce back down. We can either double bottom here or put together some sort of reversal pattern at the bottom here, or we could sell back down. We could sell back down below this line here. You know, we could have double bottomed here like we did, or we could come back down and sell back down like this, yeah, which we didn't, right? But so what happened here? So as you can see here, let's move it to the 2-hour chart. I've used the 2-hour chart a lot more these days. So anyway, so as we can see here, let's see if it's clearer on the line chart. You can see this double bottom here. We came back down, bounced up, and came back down and double bottomed here. This is a clear double bottom right here. Okay, so this is a typical reversal pattern, whether it's at the top or at the bottom. This is a typical reversal pattern. Okay, so we double bottomed there, and at that point, you know, what I'm looking for from the bounce on this double bottom is a break of this downward resistance line, which is something we got here. Okay, so once we broke this downward resistance line, what we're looking to do is we're looking to make previous resistance into support. So there's a couple of things here. When you double bottom and you break back up, you're looking for a couple of things. You're first of all looking to clear the previous top. So the previous top we're really looking for is this top right here. This top right here. I'm going to get rid of the moving average lines, guys, because just to make it clearer to see everything, right? So it's to clear this top here. All right, let me see on the 1-hour chart if it's on the 4-hour chart. Yeah, same 4-hour chart, and you can see here on the 4-hour chart it's the same as the 2-hour chart. This top was what we were looking to clear. So on the bounce, you can see first of all we broke this downward resistance. We broke out of there. When we broke out of there, we actually on the 30-minute chart, we broke out. You can see this is the 30-minute chart, guys. We broke out of this downward resistance. We came back down and we bounced back off the top of this resistance line. So this resistance line now has become support. Okay, so we've bounced off the top of this resistance line, and now what we're looking to do, guys, is basically clear this previous, going back to the 2-hour chart now, guys, clearing this this resistance line here, this previous high. So we easily cleared that, and now what we're looking to do once we clear that line here is we're looking to make that that previous high into support. So this previous resistance zone here has now become support, which, as you can see here from this, you know, this break up here, we've now produced this, made this into support. Okay, we're bouncing off this, tested this support zone here again before we move back up, right? So that's basically what's happened here with Bitcoin. All right, so now that we've broken out this zone here, you can see right here what we were in fact creating here was, if we go into the 1-hour chart now, guys, what we were creating here is a rising wedge, right? So rising wedge, bull flag, whatever it is you want to call it, but let's say a rising wedge. Okay, classic bullish pattern here. Okay, so we were creating this rising wedge. You know, we create this high here. Okay, low, higher low, because this is a lower low here. So lower low, high, higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high, and we kind of were springing up in this zone here before we kind of broke out here. Okay, so now we've broken out of this zone here, this rising wedge, and we've just been kind of stair-stepping our way here. Now, you know, from a rising wedge, usually I mean, what I've noticed personally from a rising wedge, usually the distance we get from the once you break out a wedge like this is usually the same as from the bottom of the move entering the rising wedge. So let's call it the flag pole, right? So if this is a flag and that's a flag pole, usually we get something similar to this. Like if we let's have a look at something quickly, right? Measure this to the actual right size. Okay, so usually what we get from the breakout here is a move up similar to this. Well, it's not, it hasn't gone that far, but if it did push up a bit more, it would have been similar to that, right? But here we could see, because we're reaching all-time highs here, obviously we can see that, you know, it's something that you know, we're gonna have a lot of resistance here because this is all-time high, right? So that's probably a reason why, you know, you could think, okay, if it usually would go that up there, because it's all-time high, and when you reach all-time highs, you typically reach more resistance than your usual resistance point, right? So therefore, probably the selling would take place a little earlier here. So anyway, now that we're here, what is the situation now, right? For me now, there's a couple of scenarios, okay? Because we're basically at almost at all-time high levels now. You know, we're less than, you know, 1 or 2% off all-time high levels, right? So basically, what's the situation? So if we look at the bigger picture, guys, let's look at the one-day chart here. First of all, yeah, okay, so we'll get rid of these lines here just so we can clear things up a bit. All right, so what's the situation now? We've had that sell-off, we've bounced all the way back up. Now there's a couple of things for me here, guys. There's a couple of scenarios. What we could be seeing here is an ABC correction. Okay, so this could potentially be a sell-off zone here. You got from the top A, B, and we have a C all the way. We could all come back down here. I mean, it just depends how hard the sell-off is. We could come back down here towards this zone here. Okay, we could come back down here. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it would come back down here. I mean, if we look at the cloud support and stuff, I mean, we could potentially come back down lower. It really is possible, but that's one possible scenario, guys. Okay, but really and truly, for me, I mean, it's looking bullish, guys. Just the way, there's just something Bitcoin is always so bullish. When we have a sell-off and it just regains momentum, it just destroys everything else. It just continues its bullish run. It surprises. It just continues to surprise people over and over again. It never stops. You know, a week or so ago, people were saying, oh, you know, it's all over. You know, Bitcoin, the fees are too high. You know, the mining costs are going too high. Bitcoin Cash is going to take over. Their mining costs are lower. It's more profitable. It's more usable. All of this sort of stuff. You know, people are moving over to Bitcoin Cash. You know, there's all this stuff, but Bitcoin has been through stuff like this 10 times before, right? And it always seems to recover, right? So I do think something is going to have to change with Bitcoin for it to, you know, to continue long term. But at the moment, guys, it's just doing what it's always done, and that is recovering after a sell-off and pushing on to, you know, newer highs. Well, at the moment, it hasn't done that, but it's looking fairly strong to me. But anyway, as I said, there is that that potential for us to have an ABC correction down. Now, if that does happen, we could come back down to the, you know, high 4,000s, or we could even come back down to the 3,000 level. It's possible, right? But if that doesn't happen, guys, and we clear this high here, if we clear this high here, guys, we're heading straight up to 10,000. There's little doubt about that, right? If we clear this high here, then we're just gonna rocket up to 10,000, like, you know, within a day probably, right? The momentum is just gonna be nuts, right? So that's the thing. And if we head to 10,000, then really and truly, guys, I don't know what's going to happen. We could have a sell-off from 10,000, but if we do head to 10,000, then what could be happening is that we could be creating a whole new kind of market cycle, right? And then we could be heading up a lot higher. Alternatively, we could head up to 10,000 and start selling off down from there. You just got to kind of play it at the time, right? You got to see how the market reacts to certain price points. 10,000 is a big round number, right? It's like breaking 1,000, right? So you know, I really expect it to have a sell-off there, but then you can't guarantee that. So you got to kind of play the market there when we're there. Okay, so another thing I want to just point out, guys, is if we look at the higher time frame charts, I mean, there's nothing bearish about this, guys. There's nothing negative or bearish about this chart. It's just looking ridiculous. If we look at the weekly chart, guys, it really is ridiculously bullish. We've had this 1 week of this 1 week sell-off, and this is almost a bearish engulfing candle. This candle here is almost a bearish engulfing. So the thing is, this follow-up candle here, it's a very bullish reaction. Now the week isn't over yet. We've still got 3 days left of the week. So this candle, although it's looking very bullish now, you know, we could potentially we could in the next three days, this candle could squeeze all the way back down. If we have a sell-off, then this candle could squeeze all the way back down, and by the end of the week, by the end of this candle, it could be like a doji, like a bearish doji, or a reversal candle, right? So that still could potentially happen, because we've still got 3 days left of this candle. But at the moment, it's looking very bullish. But you know, we've just got to play it by ear. The 3-day chart is looking very bullish. I mean, this is very bullish, right? But what I want to show you guys, during this sell-off here, the same thing happened that always happens. Everyone's kind of saying, okay, this is the end. This is the end of the Bitcoin bubble and stuff like that, right? But really and truly, if you take things into perspective, and if you look at the log chart, guys, if you look at the log chart, right? I mean, this is the sell-off up here that we just had. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you look at the log chart, it's really tiny. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's a tiny sell-off. Because when you look at the log chart, guys, you can kind of look at things relatively, right? So, you know, it kind of puts things into perspective sometimes, right? So this is really just a small correction on the journey, on the continuous journey up. That's what it's looking like from the log chart. All right, so admittedly, you know, this leg up here maybe hasn't been as big and long as this leg up here, or these legs up here, but in terms of the correction hasn't really been that big in terms of actual percentages and stuff like that we've seen before in the past, right? So that's just something I wanted to point out to you guys. So that's where I am with Bitcoin at the moment. I'm bullish. Personally, I would be taking profits soon. Just it depends if we break all-time high. Let me just have a look at something, guys. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at the candles. 1 second. The 6 hour. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, right? If we start consolidating up here, for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days, then I wouldn't sell. I wouldn't sell, right? But if we start turning down, like the stochastic RSI, and on the 12-hour and the 1 day starts turning down, and we start heading back down, then obviously I'd just get stopped out here and I'd sell, right? But if we just consolidate here, what I would do is really and truly, let's have a look at something. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. I would maybe put my stop loss here below these wicks here. Okay, so I would put my stop loss, if I'm holding right now, then I would put my stop loss at below 6,900 right here. Okay, so if we do start selling down, then I'd get stopped out here, right? And then you know, then if we start selling down here, then you know we're likely to start selling down further, right? And then we have a chance to, you know, regroup and either buy some more here or buy some more here, right? So that's the idea behind it. Okay, but I would probably set my stop loss below that line here, the 6,900 zone. But like I said, if we consolidate there, then more than likely, guys, if we're consolidating in this zone now for the next few days up here, then I would just hold and wait for it to pop out and just, you know, blast all the way up to $10,000. So that's it, guys. Hope that helps. Let me know if it does help. If you've got any questions, leave me a comment. I do coaching over Skype and stuff like that. So if you're interested, get in touch with me, leave me a comment, drop me an email, whatever, and we'll take it from there. Adios, guys. All the best.